Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smiles. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smiles. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smiles. Siva gedola, liot liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot 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 besimcha. Be the reason someone smiles. 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 Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Someone smile. Be the reason someone smile. Be the reason someone smile. Be the reason someone smiles. Be the reason someone smiles. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smiles. Give us Michael, give us Michael, give us Michael, give a smile. Give us Michael, give us Michael, be the reason someone smiles. Siva gedola, liot liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot.
Breakfast with Elli.
Mode ani lefanecha melech chai vekayam shechezarta bi נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך
Shabbos, Shabbos,
Shabbos is shine, Shabbos is right, Shabbos is not a forgiven online.
Shabbos is shine, Oy Shabbos is right, Shabbos is not fahren Sieden Allah. Shabbos is shine, Shabbos is right, Shabbos is not fahren Sieden Allah.
Oy sikim Shabbos of der Welt, in alle Stelt. Ein Dida Laila, ay ay ay, good Shabbos. Ein Dida Laila, ay ay ay, Shabbos Kodesh.
Good morning, good Erev Shabbos, and welcome to Breakfast with Elli. It is Season 8, Episode 104. Today is Friday, Erev Shabbos, the 26th day of Shevat, the 13th day of February. The Torah portion is Mishpatim, HaYom, Shishi Shabbos, 6th day, counting up towards Shabbos, learning the 6th and 7th Aliyos. Good morning, everybody. It is AliyosMevarchim of Adar. We are going to bless the new month of Adar. The Molad, the birth of the new moon, will be on Tuesday, the 17th at 3:50 a.m. with 12 portions of an hour. Rosh Chodesh will be on Tuesday and Wednesday. In New York, we also read Parshas Shkalim, the first of the amazing 4 parshas that we read before Pesach. More on that soon. In New York City, you light Shabbos candles tonight at 5:10 p.m., and Shabbos will end tomorrow night at 6:12. 5:10 and 6:12. Can you remember those numbers, boys and girls? All right. There we go. Yeah. Can you imagine? We finished the month of Shevat already. I don't know how that could have happened, but things happened. Yes, Parshas Shkolim. It says Shkolim, Shabbos Shkolim in back of me there. All right, let us get started. So much to do. Men and boys, take your 2 front sitzes. Let us begin the davening, and everybody else, you will please join us in the second bracha. I appreciate it. See you soon.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tzitzit. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher yatzar et ha'adam b'chokhma uvaravo נקבים, נקבים, חלולים, חלולים, גלוי וידוע לפני כיסא כבודך, שאם יסתם אחד מהם, או אם ייפתח אחד מהם, אי אפשר להתקיים אפילו שעה אחת. ברוך אתה אדוני רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על דברי תורה. הריני מקבל עלי מצוות עשה, של ואהבת לרעך כמוך. I take upon myself every single day to love my fellow friend in a very special way.
Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Torah tziva lanu Moshe.
It's a darker box. I put it in the pushki, it's a darker box. I put it in the pushki for someone else to keep. Yeah, I put it in the pushki, that's a darker box. I put it in the pushki, that's a darker box. I put it in the pushki for someone else in need.
All right, we're giving for today. We're giving for Shabbat. We're giving a little extra for Shabbos Shkolim and a little bit extra for Shabbos Mevorchim. So much to give for, all right? But that's a good thing. It's a very good thing. We want to give as much tzedakah as we possibly can, all right? So, now that we have given tzedakah, let's move on to the saying of the Shema. Take your right hand, place it over your eyes. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך, ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות
בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
שחקל נהיה בדבורוי, שקל נהיה בדבורוי.
All right, and that takes us to breakfast. Oh, full cup today. Coffee and yogurt. Are you ready? Making a bracha shahakol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shahakol nihiyah bidvarai.
Coffee, blessed coffee. God bless you for being a friend. When the whole world turns on me, it's only you on which I can depend. I want to taste you in the morning and a few times throughout the day. Yes, a cup or two in the evening too. For me, it's the only way.
Oh, mango. I like mango. All right. And that is going to take us to yes, that is going to take us to today in Jewish history. All right. As we said, you light Shabbos candles at 5:10 p.m. The entire Jewish community in the remote village of Saulagu was wiped out during the Black Death massacres in Germany. It is the yahrzeit of the Taz, Rabbi David ben Shmuel Halevi, a primary halachic authority known as the Taz after his work, Turei Zahav, the Rose of Gold, a commentary on the Shulchan Aruch of Reb Yosef Karo. He passed away in 1667. In 1953, the Soviet Union recalled its ambassador and cut off diplomatic relations with Israel. Did you know that? 1953. This day on Shabbos, Yosef Sanalbo, a Ger Tzedek, a convert, was burned at the stake in Rome in 1583. In the second half of the 16th century, Jews were subject to grave church-sponsored persecutions. Popes Julius III and Clement VIII condemned the Talmud and other Hebrew writings as obscene, blasphemous, and abominable, and ordered them all seized and burned. That's exactly what the religion was founded on, right? Jewish burial in a Jewish cemetery became legal in New Amsterdam, New York City, in 1656. And the yahrzeit of the Simla Chadasha, Rabbi Alexander Sender Shore, a direct descendant of Rabbi Yosef Bechor Shore of Orleans, one of the most famous of the French Tosafists. At a young age, he was already appointed Chief Justice of the Rabbinic Court in the town of Hovniv, which is directly outside of Lviv, Ukraine. He authored the classic work on the laws of ritual slaughter called the Simla Chadasha, as well as a deep commentary on those laws called Tevuas Shor. He has been reprinted more than 100 times in the most widely used books learning the laws of Shechita, ritual slaughter. He passed away in this town of s8e on the 27th of Shevat in the year 5497, 1737. All right. There you go. It is Parshas Shkalim. When the Holy Temple stood in Jerusalem, each Jew contributed a half a shekel tax to the temple. The first of Adar marked the beginning of the collection of these shkalim. In commemoration, the Torah reading on the Shabbos that falls out on or before the 1st of Adar, which is this week, we read about the verses that relate to Hashem's command to Moshe regarding the first giving of the half shekel, Exodus 30, verses 11 through 16. Exodus 30, 11 through 16. Parshas Shkalim, as we said earlier, is the first of the 4 special readings added during or immediately before the month of Adar, the other 3 being Zachor, Para, and Parshas HaChodesh. And you can find more about that at Chabad.org. It is also the Shabbos that we bless the new month of Adar, which will be on Tuesday and Wednesday of the following week. Prior to the blessing, we announced the birth of the new moon, which you can see right here on your screen. And our custom is to recite the entire book of Tehillim, Psalms, before the morning prayers, and conclude with Farbrengens in the course of Shabbos. If you need more information on it, let me know. Shabbos will end at 6:12 p.m. All right. HaYom Yom for today.
היום הזה הוא זמן שמחתנו.
HaYom thoughts for the day, 26 Shevat. I love how you make me laugh. Yeah, but do you love me? I love your cooking. Yeah, but do you love me? Love is expressed in the actions. Love means even if I don't like you, I am still connected with you. Love is much more than like 2.0. It is the bond that can't and won't be severed. That is the gift that keeps on giving. I love, and so that love is reflected back to me. Look, I can like someone else's sense of humor. Doesn't mean they think I'm funny. When I love them, truly, they reflect that love.
It doesn't matter if you're from Har Sinai, Hollywood, or anywhere in between. Everybody likes to talk about love. So what is the difference between the love you encounter in pop culture and the Jewish idea of love? Well, in Hollywood, love is an exciting sensation that makes you feel good. But look at ahava, the Hebrew word for love. It's related to the word hav, which means to give. So in Judaism, love is more than anything else. Love is about the passion for giving and sharing with others. Today's HaYom Yom is about the power of Hasidic love. Ahava, love, is the breath of life in the service of Hasidus. It is the thread that binds Hasidim to each other, the thread that binds Rebbe to Hasidim, and Hasidim to the Rebbe. Love works, love can be initiated, and love is something that we respond to in kind. Love knows no barriers and transcends the limits of time and place.
You got it? All right. Laserbrook, and then a word from our sponsors, and then we'll learn some Torah.
لیزربروک چیزی خواب برای مه ادر ثبت کرد.
میشه اوسونیسیم لابوی سهینو וגואל אויסוס בעבדות לחירוס הוא יגאל אויסונו אוי בקורוי מישה קבצי דופנו מישה בכנפי סורת מעל בכנפי סורת חברים כל ישראל ונאמר אמן ראש חודש אדר יהיה ביום השלישי וביום הרביעי אבולנו ועל כל ישראל לטובה נתחדש שיום הקודש ברוך הוא
שבת שלום ומבורך.
And now, a word from our sponsors. PestProRidall.com.
PestProRidall.com, trusted by the best to keep away the pests. We are offering COVID-19 disinfection services. Mention this ad and get 1 month free service. Visit us at PestProRidall.com.
Tarzane Group, micro, miniature, and small orchids. Go to tarzanegroup.com or call Tomas at 305-440-0565. That's 305-440-0565 and order today. Visit Tomas and Yair at tarzanegroup.com. Micro, miniature, and small orchids, beautiful in your home. Go to the website and read Tomas's orchid blog. And by Dina D Design. DinaDDesign@gmail.com. Fine artwork, custom made to your specifications, logos, wall hangings, Judaica, and you can even have something for your child's room. Dina D Designs. Go to her Facebook or Instagram or call or text. Thank you very much to our sponsors. If you'd like to become a sponsor, please go right up here to where it says patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, and you can contribute even only $1 a month if you'd like, but that'll help us bring this broadcast to you on a daily basis and cover our expenses. Be sure to thank your sponsors when shopping and mention Breakfast with Elli when you're shopping there. There might be discounts. Thanks for watching.
Helping lots of people any way we can. Tzedakah is the Jewish way to help your fellow man.
All right, if you would like to give tzedakah and help bring Torah all around the world, all you need to do is scan the handy QR code that you see on your screen right here, and that'll take you to breakfastwithelli.live/support. Breakfastwithelli.live/support. Now, when you get there, just sign up to help us out. That's all we need. A little bit of help goes a long, long way. So, please feel free to contribute freely to helping us bring Torah all around the world. It's very, very important. All right, let's learn some Torah. Are you ready?
Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe.
All right, fantastic. All right, you'll have to excuse me. I am a little bit fakirtert. All right, in the 6th Aliyah, Hashem informs the Israelites he would dispatch an angel to lead them through the land of Canaan. The angel would not tolerate disobedience. If, however, the Israelites would hearken to the angel and eradicate idolatry from the promised land, they will be greatly rewarded. The enemies in Canaan will fall before them, and Hashem will bless your food and your drink and remove illness from your midst. In the 7th Aliyah, the section continues describing the blessings that the Israelites will receive if they faithfully serve Hashem. No miscarriages or barren women, longevity, wide spacious borders, and a supernatural assistance in their quest to conquer the Holy Land. Hashem warns the Israelites against entering into treaties with the Canaanites natives or allowing them to remain in the land after the invasion. Torah now relates some of the events that occurred in the days immediately prior to the giving of the Torah. We're backtracking. Moshe went up to the mountain and received a message from Hashem, which he communicated to the people. The Israelites enthusiastically committed themselves to following all of Hashem's laws, na'aseh v'nishma. Moshe transcribed Sefer HaBris, the Book of the Covenant, and read it to the people. Then, together with the Israelite firstborn, he offered sacrifices and sprinkled the blood on the people, bringing them into a covenant with Hashem. The section concludes with Hashem summoning Moshe after the giving of the Torah to ascend the mountain where he would remain for 40 days and 40 nights. All right. Chumash and Rashi with Rabbi Avtson, and then we'll do some explaining.
Jewish audio on Chabad.org.
This aliyah is quite a long one and a lot of fascinating details. Let's see how much we could squeeze in. Hashem says, in reward for doing all that I say, I will not only drive out the inhabitants of the land of Israel, allowing you to settle there. In addition, I will give you an incredible quality. No woman in your land will miscarry, or outlive her children, or be barren. Outside the land, these blessings will only happen to the individual who fulfills my will, not to the whole populace. Similarly, if you fulfill my will anywhere in the world, I will grant you the full count of your days. You will not die prematurely. Obviously, over here, you have to point out this doesn't justify why people die young or, heaven forbid, go through suffering. It doesn't mean they didn't listen to God. This isn't a perfect world. But obviously, there's a lot more variables. Hashem says, I will send forth a dread of me before you, will throw confusion amongst all the people in midst who you are coming to, and I will make the enemies flee. He says, interesting, I will send hornets ahead of you that will wound the enemy's eyes and inject deadly poison into them. These hornets inhabit the east bank of the Jordan River and will not cross westward into the Holy Land. So they will only be able to drive out before you the Chivites, those who live close to the west bank of the river, by miraculously firing their poison at them, and the Canaanites and the Hittites who live on the east bank of the river. I will not drive out the inhabitants of Israel in a single year, because I don't want the land to become desolate, and then the wild animals will outnumber you. For at this point there are not enough of you to populate the whole land. Rather, I will drive them out before you little by little until you increase and are able to occupy the whole land. Even though I postponed my original promise to Avram concerning the territories of the Ammonites, Moabites, and Edomites, which are on the east of the river, I am now reinstating this promise. And when you enter the land, I will set your borders from the Sea of Reeds in the south to the Philistine Mediterranean Sea, and from the desert to the Euphrates River. For I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hands, and you will drive them out before you. You must not make a covenant with them, nor with their gods. They must not dwell in your land, because they might cause you to sin against me, for you might serve their gods, and that would prove to be a snare, a problem to you. Now let's reverse. Having now finished the account of the rational, contractual side of the relationship between God and the people forged at the giving of Torah, as we said during this whole parsha, we were talking about rational mitzvot. Very few, if any, of these mitzvot don't make sense. The Torah now backtracks to fill in the details of the narrative pertinent to the essential covenantal side of this relationship. What do I mean? Basically, there's two parts that happened at the giving of the Torah. There was the contract and the covenant. The contract is how we do the mitzvot. The covenant is the deep side of the relationship, the spiritual side, and that's what we're going to read now. On the 4th of Sivan, Hashem said to Moshe, this is 2 days before the Torah was given, so we're reversing in the story. He said, in 2 days, when I give the Torah, go partway up Mount Sinai to God, you and Aaron and his sons Nadav and Abihu, the 70 elders of Israel, and bow down from afar. After this, Moshe alone must draw near to God by entering the cloud surrounding the top of the mountain. The others may not draw near, as we've said many, many times. Now, the first stage in establishing the covenantal relationship was that the people commit themselves to perform Hashem's commandments. Thus, on the same day, the 4th of Sivan, Moshe came and told the people all God's words, and reviewed all the laws that Hashem had given them so far, and the entire people said, Na'aseh, we will do whatever God said. The second stage in establishing the covenant was the people committed to study the Torah. So Moshe wrote down all the words of God on the scroll. He wrote down the text of the Torah from the story of creation that we started with in Bereshit, Genesis, up to and including the events of the previous day, as formal Torah passages. So at this stage, 1/4 of the Torah plus minus was written. And he wrote down the sections containing the commandments Hashem gave at Marah previously. So now the Jewish people accepted the covenant as embodied in the scroll, and they would be committing themselves to studying the Torah and to fulfilling its commandments. Now, the usual way a covenant is made, as we spoke about in the parsha of Lech Lecha a long time ago, is by cutting an animal in half and having the two parties of the covenant pass between the halves. Here, the procedure was simulated by a sacrificial rite, as we'll see. In the morning, the next day, the 5th of Sivan, Moshe rose early and built an altar at the foot of the mountain, and 12 monuments for the 12 tribes of Israel. He had the people go to mikvah in preparation for being sprinkled with sacrificial blood. He then dispatched the firstborn young men of the Israelites, and they offered up offerings to Hashem, bulls, etc. Two kinds of offering: an ascent offering that goes up, which all the meat is burned, and then there's a peace offering, which some of the meat is burned and the rest is given to the owners or the priests. Since the meat of the ascent offering all goes to heaven, that represents God. Since the meat of the peace offering was partially eaten, they represent the people. As the firstborns slaughtered the animals, they collected the blood in basins. In order to express the fact that this covenant bound God and people as two halves of the whole, Hashem planned to have Moshe sprinkle half the blood of each type of sacrifice on the people. This would be equivalent to passing through the two types of blood. In order to emphasize the covenantal significance of the sprinkling, Hashem sent an angel to divide the two types of blood in half. As you can see, this is quite an interesting, fascinating, detailed process. Moshe then took half the blood and put it into two large bowls, one containing half the blood of the ascent offering and one containing half the blood of the peace offering. The other half of the blood he threw against the altar, directly from the basins in which the firstborns collected it when they slaughtered animals. Completing the sacrificial rites with the blood in the basins officially made the other blood into a special offering blood, and therefore it was able to be sprinkled. Moshe then takes the scroll he wrote the previous day, which became now known as the Book of the Covenant, Sefer HaBrit, and he read it aloud to the people. He read the scroll as he had written it. First the history of the world from creation till the events of the previous days, which he had written as formal Torah passages, and then the laws that God had already given. And the Torah that exemplifies Torah studies came before those that talk about commandments, because first you learn, then you do. Nonetheless, after Moshe finished, the people responded and said, we will do, and then we will hear. By saying we will do before we will learn, they not only committed themselves to studying Torah in addition to doing the mitzvahs, they also gave precedence to upholding the mitzvahs over doing the Torah.
All right. And of course, there is more, always more, but we're going to stop there for today. Parsha Points with Rabbi Epstein for Thursday, Friday, and Shabbos.
Parsha Points, Mishpatim for Friday. Hashem promises to remove sickness. But hey, didn't he promise there would be no sickness? I'm confused. There's two forms of sickness. There's your routine kind of sickness. Chicken soup and rest and boom, you're as good as new. Then there are the real severe forms, spiritually too. Some averas are almost common. Now that's not permission to do them. Nuh-uh. No one wants the flu. Then there are sins so perverse. We never imagined we could do such a thing, and yet there we are. We need a miracle to extract ourselves from their clutches. And that is what Hashem offers to step in and save us from. Even if we allow ourselves to fall so far, he will bring us back to spiritual health. Parsha Points, Mishpatim for Shabbos. Nasa v'nishma. We will do and then we will understand. One of Torah's most quoted lines. We commit ourselves to compliance even before we understand the why of what we're supposed to do. But why the why at all? Why is it Nasa will do it? Enough. Ours is simply to do or die, not reason why. Wouldn't that be even better? Nope. Understanding means my intellect, my greatest distinctively human gift, is aligned with Hashem. Look, if all I do is do with zero understanding, then that part of my being is disconnected. It's like Hashem isn't allowed into my intellect. So I do first, and I also must engage my brain and understanding, not just to make me more comfortable or compliant, to make that part of me one with Hashem.
Hey, how's it going? Isn't it strange that the word interest, like when you charge interest to somebody for a loan, is the same word as interesting, like your personal interest, or this speaker is so interesting? Why do we use the same word? So I was looking at the word and I saw that it comes from the Latin word of interest, which means like the interim, like the in-between. And what it means is that when somebody lends money, the charge that he's charging interest is for the fact that he wasn't able to use his money and invest it in between. So that difference is what the borrower pays the lender. But Rav Chaim Shmuel Levitt says that actually the two meanings of the word mean the same thing. When somebody charges interest, it's because of their own self-interest. He explains that this sin of charging interest is actually extremely severe. It is brought down in the Navi Yecheskel that when Yecheskel was talking to people that charged interest, he said, should somebody charge interest and live? Meaning charging interest makes someone liable of the death penalty. It's extremely severe. Why is that? Because when you lend with interest, you're showing there are strings attached and I'm really doing it for my own personal benefit. That strips away all the value of the mitzvah that you're performing. The Vilna Gaon was once looking for an esrog and there was no esrog to be found. And there was one person who had an esrog and was willing to give it to him, but he said, I'll only sell it to you on condition that I get all the merits of the mitzvah of the Vilna Gaon performing the mitzvah of esrog. The Vilna Gaon was thrilled because he said, finally, I have an opportunity, like it says in Pirkei Avos, to do a mitzvah shelo almanas l'kabel pras, without any intention of getting any reward or personal benefit. And this teaches us that whenever you have an opportunity to do a mitzvah, to learn Torah, to do chesed, stop and ask yourself this question. If I put aside any self-interest or any benefit or personal value or gain that I would get out of this, what would I do differently? And then act accordingly and do the mitzvah as you should be doing it. Because when you invest in a mitzvah wholeheartedly, you're looking for no returns. Have a great Shabbos.
You got it. Shnayim Yomi, the Dvar Torah.
The goal of the Shnayim Yomi project, which is such a beautiful, incredible idea, and I wish all the organizers and people participating in this project that they should get tremendous bracha. The goal is to encourage people to learn, read every day of the week, or at least through the week, the whole parasha, and fulfill the obligation of twice mikra, shnayim mikra ve'achad targum, and one translation. Now that is a halacha in Shulchan Aruch. In fact, it's halacha reish pei hey 285, and the Shulchan Aruch says that a person is obligated not only to hear the Torah in the tzibur, but also every week to finish the whole parasha. And the Shulchan Aruch says, from Sunday and onward, learning the parasha of the Shabbat is considered to be im hatzibur, with the tzibur. So two questions. Why is this mitzvah, this halacha, that we should read the parasha with the tzibur? What exactly is the basis? What's the benefit? We should always do things with the tzibur, but why specifically learning the Torah b'tzibur? That's question number one. And question number two, even if there's such a concept, so we could read it at any time, why does it have to be dafka that week when the tzibur is also reading the parasha of the week? So I'd like to answer with a pasuk in this week's parasha, but before we get there, there's another important topic regarding Amalek. Purim is coming, Rosh Chodesh Adar is coming, and I want to share an incredible idea from my father, Rav Yochanan Zweig Shlita. In the parasha of Zachor, it says that Amalek attacked you on the road, he attacked those that were behind you, and you, the Jewish people, Ayef v'Yageya, were tired and worn out, v'lo yarei Elokim, and Amalek did not fear Hashem. So first the Torah says what Amalek did. He attacked you by surprise. He attacked those that are weak among you. You, Klal Yisrael, were tired, and he, Amalek, did not fear Hashem. So my father asked, why not finish discussing what Amalek did, and then at the end say that you, Jewish people, you were tired and weary? Why does it put what the Jewish people were tired and weary in the middle of what Amalek did, that then Amalek did not fear Hashem? So my father said a very foundational message. The Jewish people were just freed from Mitzrayim. They had tremendous miracles in Mitzrayim on the Yam Suf. And they were walking around tired and worn out. If the Jewish people are tired and weary, that will cause the Goyim also to not have fear of Hashem. Because if the Jewish people, who are the nation chosen by Hashem, that have all these miracles happen, even if we look at the last 2 years, we have all these incredible things happening to us as a miracle from Hashem to be saved. Iran is teetering, and we're not walking around with energy, full of life and enthusiasm, so then the Goyim also do not fear Hashem. So therefore, because you, Bnei Yisrael, were Ayef v'Yageya, therefore, v'lo yarei Elokim, Amalek did not fear Hashem. Now, very interestingly, the Shulchan Aruch halacha of Shnayim Mikra is Reish Pei Hey. They call it Simin Rafeh, of being weak, because many people don't do this mitzvah, this halacha. And the Chazal say that when Amalek attacked the Jewish people, it's because Rafu Yidehem b'Torah. They were weak. Their hands were weak from grasping onto the Torah that they could have already learned. So therefore the Shulchan Aruch is saying, don't be weak, strengthen yourself, learn the Torah, but learn it with the tzibur. Why specifically with the tzibur? Because that, as we mentioned in another Dvar Torah this week, because we have to serve Hashem as a community, especially when we're not all strong, especially when we're not all doing everything that Hashem says we should do. If we serve Hashem as a community, then our tefillot are answered. Even as individuals, we get everything that Hashem says. So a major reason to do Shnayim Mikra Ve'echad Targum every week when the tzibur is reading the parashas, because that's the way we can fulfill the pasuk in our parasha. Va'avatem eis Hashem alokechem, and then you get your lechem and your mayim will be blessed. And everybody knows people who are sick. Hashem will remove all illnesses from us even individually. So therefore, we serve Hashem b'tzibur by every week reading the Torah, becoming enthusiastic and proud of the Torah that we have. And I personally am so proud to be part of a community of people that are trying to strengthen themselves in this halacha. And may the organizers, the participants that are teaching and that are learning and that are also watching and inspiring themselves to do the halacha, may everybody get these blessings. Be'ezrat Hashem, Shabbat Shalom.
Wow. So beautiful. Beautiful Dvar Torah. All right. Parsha in a minute for Shabbos.
Welcome back to Parsha in a minute. In today's Chumash, Hashem tells us that if you keep my mitzvahs, then no woman among you will miscarry or bury her kids in her lifetime. Hashem says that I will drive away all of your enemies from you. I will confuse them and make them scared of you, and they will run away from you. Hashem tells us of amazing blessings that He'll give us if we follow His ways. In today's Chumash, we made a covenant between us and God. And God gave us His Torah and His mitzvahs, teaching us how we can live our best lives possible, and also giving us the potential to bring down upon ourselves a tremendous amount of blessings whenever we follow His ways.
Works for me, right? All right. Now, let's see what we've got over here. We have so much to tell you today, but we're going to run out of time. So I'm going to do Torah in 7.
How much of our moral responsibility do we outsource to the majority? And do we do that intentionally or mindlessly? You're listening to Torah in 7, a podcast that explores one idea from the weekly Torah portion in 7 minutes. I'm Bela Olidort. Parshat Mishpatim introduces the first extended body of civil law, courts and testimony, damages and liability, protections for the vulnerable, and limits on authority. But its deeper work is personal. Through these laws, the Torah trains our moral conscience, teaching each of us to recognize and to take responsibility for what is right, what is holy, and what is true. Woven into these laws are also the rhythms that make a community: Shabbat, shared festivals, and a common calendar that orders time the same way for everyone. These laws do more than regulate behavior. They create a society. They establish shared norms that allow individuals to live together under a common moral framework. And buried inside these laws is the Torah's source for majority rule. Achrei rabim lahatot, follow the majority. This principle allows courts to function and society to move forward. Without it, disagreement would paralyze the system. Jewish law depends on the ability to decide collectively even when unanimity is impossible. No community can hold together if everyone insists on acting only on their own view. One of the most dramatic episodes in rabbinic history shows just how far that commitment to majority rule must go. It unfolds in a confrontation between two rabbinic greats, Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Yehoshua. The dispute was over the calendar, when the new moon was sanctified. Rabbi Yehoshua believed the court was wrong. By his calculation, Yom Kippur fell on a different day. From his perspective, obeying the ruling meant violating the holiest day of the year. Rabban Gamliel, head of the Sanhedrin, ordered Rabbi Yehoshua to appear before him with his staff and money on the day Rabbi Yehoshua believed was Yom Kippur. It was a public test of the court's authority. This was not a clash of morality, but of interpretation, how the laws of the new moon were interpreted. Rabbi Yehoshua believed he was right. Still, he did not rebel. He did not create a rival calendar. He accepted the court's ruling, and he came carrying his staff and money on the day he believed was Yom Kippur. Rabbi Gamliel stood up, kissed him, and said, "Come in peace, my teacher in wisdom and my student in accepting the court's decision." Both men were right. Rabbi Yoshua was right in insight. Rabbi Gamliel was right about what it takes for a people to live together. Rabbi Yoshua understood that without submission to collective decision-making, Jewish life fractures. There's no shared calendar, no shared law, no shared people. This is the Torah's model of humility toward the community, the ability to defer even when one holds a different view. But sometimes, and this is crucial, we must withhold our support from the majority. Sometimes the crowd itself perverts justice, and following it makes us complicit. This is why if you look at the text, you see that the Torah does not introduce majority rule on its own terms. Look at the verse, and what you see is a warning against it. The verse reads, "Lo tiyeh achrei rabim liraot," you shall not follow the majority to do evil, and neither shall you pervert justice by giving testimony to follow the majority. That's the verse. And from it, the rabbis take the last three words, follow the majority, and turn them into a central legal principle without removing the warning that surrounds them. It's as if the Torah is saying, you will need majority rule to survive as a people, but you must never forget how dangerous it can become. The Torah gives us majority rule and then warns us not to trust it blindly. Its concern isn't mobs or obvious evil, but something far subtler, how justice can bend when agreement itself begins to feel like moral cover. This isn't just theory. In capital cases, the Sanhedrin rule that if all the judges vote unanimously to convict, the defendant is acquitted. This is astonishing. You would think that a unanimous ruling to convict leaves no doubt about guilt. But in Jewish law, it's actually a red flag, because if everyone agrees, it could mean that dissent was silenced and opinions may have been shaped by the pressure of consensus instead of careful individual reasoning. This concern did not disappear in modernity. The French diplomat Alexis de Tocqueville, who wrote Democracy in America, warned that its greatest danger was what he called the tyranny of the majority, the way dominant opinion can suppress disagreement and dissent. The tension between consensus and conscience runs deep in literature as well. In Ibsen's An Enemy of the People, a doctor who exposes a poisoned water supply is crushed by the majority, not because he's wrong, but because the truth is inconvenient. Ibsen's warning is brutal. The crowd doesn't need to be evil to be dangerous, only comfortable. The same was true of many Germans under Nazism, ordinary people who went along because it was easier than standing apart. Following orders became an alibi. And we see the same pattern today. We see people marching for causes they have not examined, chanting slogans they cannot explain, adopting moral positions unreflectively, not because they are necessarily malicious, but because it is easier to let the crowd do the thinking. The Torah doesn't reject majority rule. It insists upon it, but it demands that following the majority doesn't give us a moral pass. Rabbi Yehoshua shows us when to defer to the rule of majority. In matters of interpretation, we yield. But when the majority crosses into moral perversion, conscience must prevail. And it leaves me asking, when I rely on majority rule in my own life, when I lean on my community and benefit from the stability, the shared language, belonging, and accumulated wisdom that I don't have to generate on my own, am I doing so mindfully or merely by drift? That's one takeaway from Parshat Mishpatim. If this has been meaningful to you, please subscribe, share, and comment. Shabbat Shalom.
All right, Rabbi Zusha Silberstein.
Have you ever heard of a fundraiser, or as to the customer, a charity or a match-up or whatever it's called these days? Asking everybody to give $50. Yet, that's what the Torah demands. And this is what this Shabbos is all about. So let's discuss this in a moment. But first, a wholehearted thank you to Hashem. Chapter 100, Mizmor s8e, Ori Adar Kol Haaretz Ivdos Adar B'Simcha. בואי לפניו בנונו דו כדנו אלים הוא אסונו ולא אנחנו נעמה בצע מריסוי. בואי שורו בסוידה חצרויסו בסידה הוידה לבוכר שבוי. כי טוב אדוני לעולם חסדוי והדור ודור אמונוסוי. Let me give some tzedakah. No, I don't have a half a shekel. And please do the same. And let's discuss this a little bit. This Shabbat actually is a triple Shabbat. Shabbat Mishpatim, Shabbat Mevarchim, we're blessing the month of Adar, and it's Shabbat Shkolim. The Shabbat of the shekel. What is this all about? No, there's no fundraisers in shul. Don't get nervous, don't get afraid. You can go to shul without being concerned about being asked for funds. But our chachamim have established that the Shabbat before the month Rosh Chodesh Adar is called Shabbat Shkolim. We're going to have a few Shabbos like this. Shabbat Shkolim, then we have Shabbat Zocher before Purim, then we have Shabbos Parshas Torah, Chodesh, and then Shabbos HaGodel, which is of a different nature. But the Shabbos before the month of Adar is called Shabbat Shkolim. The reason for that is because in the time of the temple, that was the month of the fundraising. They needed money for maintenance, for sacrifices. The Beis HaMikdash was an ongoing concern. There was no salaries in general paid, but the Kohanim didn't get salaries, the Levim didn't get salaries, but there was other people. Actually, it says that the one who used to prepare the bread, the shoe bread, they were charging. So everybody had to give a half a shekel. Why half a shekel? If you give wholeheartedly, give a whole thing. Shekel, we're not talking about huge sums over here. It's a relatively minimal amount. And the pasuk says, when you're going to count the Jewish people, take a census, then everybody should give an atonement for God, ransom for his soul, and what will they do? You should give a half a shekel. Interesting. Rashi says, Moshe Rabbeinu had a difficulty with this issue. He didn't understand it. And God showed him a coin in fire, then he understood. What didn't he understand and what did he understand with the fire? Because it says that this half a shekel came as an atonement, as a forgiveness for the sin of the golden calf. So Moshe Rabbeinu asked the question, that's all you need to do to be forgiven for such a fundamental sin, the sin of the golden calf? A half a coin, that's all it takes? And God showed him a coin in fire. It's not about the amount. It's about the fire, the passion that you give it with. When the soul is on fire, when the person is on fire and wants to give it with his full being, God says, this is the forgiveness. When you recognize you are a half, you're only a half, but a half. What I mean by that is, true, a half means you're not complete. But who is the other half? Here's the point. When we realize that, first of all, we are half together with another Jew, two Jews together become a whole. You know, in the name of God, sometimes we would write two Yuds next to each other, and this becomes the name of God. Yud, Yud. A play of words in Yiddish. Zwei Yidalach. Two Jews, two Yids together become one. Become one, and that's the connection with Hashem. So when we recognize that we are half of God, and to become complete with God, we have to connect and unify with another Jew, says God, this is the forgiveness. And we give it before the month of Adar, which is the story of Purim. Haman came and said, there's a people that are separated, they're dispersed all over. Says God. And he gave money towards it. And the answer is, the antidote, half a shekel, unity. That's for us to know today. Each giving half of ourselves. With fire brings the ultimate unity and the ultimate redemption.
After the miracles comes the meaning. The Torah now speaks of everyday life, justice, honesty, responsibility. No one is above the law. No one is beneath dignity. Actions matter. Accountability builds a moral world. Care for the weak. Protect the stranger. Justice begins with compassion. Truth is not for sale.
You shall not covet your fellow's house or anything that belongs to your fellow.
We will do and we will understand.
Mishpatim teaches us, holiness isn't only in heaven. It's built in how we live every day.
All right, we have a special Haftarah this week, and we have a video about that.
Hello, everyone. We've reached the Haftarah for Parshat Mishpatim. Yehoiada the priest is at the center of this story. He is the one who forges a renewed covenant, a covenant that restores order, faith, and a clear framework for the entire nation. The covenant is made on three sides, between God and the king, between God and the people, and also between the king and the people. In other words, it's not just a spiritual declaration, but also the creation of a binding relationship. The Jewish people return to being a nation dedicated to God, and the king and the people join together in shared responsibility. After the covenant is made, all the people of the land unite around one clear goal: to eradicate the worship of Baal. They arrive at the house of Baal, destroy it, smash its altars, and thoroughly break the idols until the very end. As part of this process, they also kill Matan, the priest of Baal, right in front of the altars. This is a decisive and clear act of complete separation from idolatry. And at the same time, Yehoiada the priest brings order by appointing officials and supervision over the house of the Lord so that the holy place will be managed properly. From here, the story continues to the king's transition to the royal throne. Yehoiada takes with him the commanders, the couriers, and all the people of the land. Together, they all bring the king down from the house of the Lord and escort him in an orderly fashion through the gate of the guards to the king's palace. There, he sits on the royal throne. At that moment, all the people rejoice and the city calms down and becomes peaceful. Meanwhile, Athaliah is put to death by the sword at the king's palace. King Joash begins his reign when he is only 7 years old, and he rules in Jerusalem for 40 years. His mother's name is Sivia from Beer Sheva. Throughout his life, he does what is right in the eyes of the Lord, as long as Yehoiada the priest guides and directs him. At the same time, it is noted that the altars were not removed. The people still continue to offer sacrifices and burn incense on the altars. And then comes a very practical part, almost like managing the temple's budget. Joash turns to the priests and talks to them about the money that is brought to the house of the Lord. He details several types of funds that come in: the sacred money brought to the house of the Lord, money of the numbering, ransom money, and any money that a person decides to bring. The idea is clear. There is money coming from different sources, but it all goes toward one purpose, strengthening and repairing the holy temple. Yoash instructs the priests to take the money and use it for the repairs of the holy temple. Everything there that needs fixing. But years go by, and in the 23rd year of King Yoash, a painful truth becomes clear. The priests still had not repaired the temple. In other words, the money is coming in, but the renovation and reinforcement aren't being done properly. Yoash calls Yehoiada the priest and the other priests and directly asks them, "Why aren't you repairing the temple?" Then he changes the instructions. From now on, don't take money from your acquaintances, but instead give it directly to the temple repairs. The priests agree and take upon themselves two things: not to take money from the people in this way, and also not to be the ones repairing the temple as they did before.
I will begin the extraction.
Here, Yehoiada the priest takes a smart and simple step. He takes a single chest, makes a hole in it, and places it by the altar on the right side of the entrance. The priests put all the money brought to the holy temple inside there. This creates an organized system. The money is collected in an orderly way, in a fixed place, without confusion. And when the money in the chest fills up, the king's scribe and the high priest come forward. They bundle up and count the money that has accumulated. After that, they give the counted money to the overseers and those in charge at the holy temple. And what do they do with this money? They give it to the carpenters and builders who work in the holy temple. It is also given to the craftsmen and stone cutters, and used to buy wood and quarried stones. All of this is for one purpose: to strengthen the repairs of the holy temple, to cover all its expenses, and to reinforce it. This is a story of renewing the covenant, of cleansing idolatry, of restoring the kingdom to its rightful place, and of taking true responsibility for the holy temple in faith, in order, and in action.
All right, that is absolutely beautiful. Let's move on to the saying of Tehillim, chapters 23 and 124.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי, לא אחסר, בינוס תשע, ירביצני, על מי מנוחוס ינהלני, נפשי שובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק, למען שמו, גם כי לך בגיא צלמובס, לא ירא רע. כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפניי שולחן נגד צורריי. תשענת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני. כל ימי חיי ושבתי בביס אדוני לאורך ימים.
Shit.
All right, y'all. Thank you for being here. Let's learn some Tanya for today, the 26th of Shvat.
Tanya thoughts for the 26th of Shvat. If you can't remember some task you're supposed to do, just start davening or studying Torah, and boom, you'll remember who you were supposed to call, what errand you were supposed to run. When distracting thoughts show up during godly service, run away. Don't get into it with them. Drop the Freudian analysis and shut them out completely. La, 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 I'm not listening to you. And move on with serving Hashem. Wrestling with the dirty will just make you dirty.
Thank you for joining Tanya in 5. Today's lesson for the 26th of Shvat, we begin the 28th chapter of Tanya. In one word, tefillah, prayer. Till now we've been speaking about when you are engaged in mundane activity. For example, eating. And if you could push off eating with the intent to sacrifice the urge that you have, the hunger that you have, and do a mitzvah in the stead, like learning Torah as we're doing now, you have done a remarkable thing. You have done, even though it seems to be such a small little thing, but indeed, in heaven, it is a remarkable thing. Well, in this chapter, we're speaking about not when you're engaged in mundane activity, but actually during divine service. In other words, when you're studying Torah, as now, or devout prayer, and then the lustful imaginations come to the person, extraneous thoughts come to you during divine service. So then, for sure, you should be unhappy. You should be saddened by that. You're doing a mitzvah right now, and look what's happening, that these things are coming. The Alter Rebbe says, no, not to let one's heart dwell on these extraneous thoughts, but you must immediately avert your mind from them. Nor should you engage in a foolish attempt to sublimate the midas, the emotion of the extraneous thought. This is an idea that righteous people actually can do, because when they have an extraneous thought that comes to them, it's not of their own. It's not their own thought of their own making, but those of others. And what's the proof? Is that when they have the extraneous thought, there's no urge, there's no lust, there's no feeling. It's just mere, I guess, information in their mind, so to speak. But as opposed to when we have a thought of something, we're pulled, we're tugged by it. We want that thing that our thoughts are engaged in at that time, right? We want to eat, we want to do this or that is for our own benefit. So a Beinani should not engage in this as a tzaddik will, because a Beinani is bound to this world. He's bound to the negativity. How could he now take the negativity and elevate it into holiness when he's bound to it? And it's a method of tzaddikim that they would concentrate on that negativity and elevate it to something in a positive direction. But that's taking our negativity, which again they have no desire for, and helping us by elevating it to a holy place. But when the Beinani is drawn by this, so he's downcast to it, he cannot elevate it, sublimate it into holiness. Nevertheless, so a person might be with this great struggle with prayer, and how often does it happen to us all the time that we're praying and our minds go adrift and so on, and you can be so downcast of heart and feel dejected because, you know, I'm trying, and look what's happening over here. The Alter Rebbe says, don't, never. Be joyful, actually. On the contrary, what this should do is draw for you fresh strength and intensity in your effort, with greater power of concentration in your prayers, which will bring you, and that greater concentration will in the prayer will be because you increase your joy and gladness. And why would you be increasing your joy and gladness to intensify your prayers? Because the realization over here that the foreign thought that is coming, invading your heart in the moment of prayer, is only coming from klipa, from the left part of the heart, from the negativity. And as is known, when two combatants are fighting, as two wrestlers. When one is gaining the upper hand over the other, what happens to the one who is now in the losing position? He gains greater strength in order to prevail. He gets more resources and greater strength in order that he can prevail. Therefore, the same thing is happening when we are praying. When our divine soul is exerting great effort in our prayers, all of a sudden the klipa, the negative part in our left ventricle of the heart, sees that it might lose the battle. In the moment, trying to control the individual, and therefore it summons greater strength at that moment in order to confuse the person and topple the neshama of the Jew that's engaged in the prayer at that moment by means of a foreign thought. So when we're praying and we're concentrating, and all of a sudden the thoughts become even worse. So we think, what do you mean the thoughts are worse now? You know why? Because the klipa is gaining greater strength in order to try to topple you. That's just a sign that your devotion is truly there. And now all you have to do is be joyous, so you can now summon even greater strength to topple that negative foreign thought, extraneous thought that has entered. And that's Tanya 5. Thank you for joining.
No, it's not impossible that Rebbe did say, just study Rambam each and every day. I'll never miss
Sefer HaMitzvahs, class number 11.
Today we study one mitzvah. Positive mitzvah 11 is the obligation of Talmud Torah, Torah study. This is our commandment to teach others Torah as well as to study it ourselves. The Rambam tells us from the Talmud that we should be so well versed in our Torah studies that if somebody were to ask us a question relating to any matter that we have studied, we should be able to answer them right away without stumbling at all. Unlike any mitzvah we have learnt about until now, this one is incumbent only upon men and not upon women, because the verse which commands us about learning Torah says, "V'limadtem otam et b'neichem," you shall teach your sons. It doesn't say your daughters.
Baruch Hashem, it is day number 11 of our daily study of the Rambam Sefer Mitzvahs. Today we have only one mitzvah. Our mitzvahs that we study correspond to whatever is being studied in the 3 chapters a day of Mishnah Torah. And over there we're in Hilchas Talmud Torah, the laws of Torah study. So we have just one mitzvah today, which is a positive commandment number 11, which is Talmud Torah, the mitzvah to study Torah. Now, that mitzvah actually includes teaching Torah. Studying and teaching are one mitzvah, and they come that obligation to study and to teach comes from one verse: "Vishinantum levanecha v'dibarta bam." You should teach your children diligently the words of Torah and speak about these words. And Vishinantum, our sages say, has a very specific connotation. It doesn't just mean to teach, but it means to deeply transmit this information so that it becomes well integrated into the student's mind, to the extent that if a question is posed, one will not hesitate to answer. It just becomes very fluent and second nature. That's the degree of Torah study that is obligatory. And when it says children, our sages explain it doesn't mean literally biological children, although one also teaches one's children. But here the verse refers to one's students, whoever they may be. One's students are called one's children in this context. And we have a mitzvah to teach them. And obviously to teach them we have to learn, and in order to learn properly also, part of learning properly is teaching. So that's the mitzvah. Now, women. I will tell you that women are obligated from this mitzvah. And no, actually, it's not because of a positive time-bound commandment. It's for a different reason based on a different scriptural exegesis. But there is a concept of women being exempt from positive time-bound commandments. This is for a different reason. But let's talk about this. What is the obligation of Talmud Torah from which women are exempt? The obligation of Talmud Torah means that a man must spend every free moment studying Torah. that's how you have to spend your time. Now, we could argue what is a free moment. How much time do you need for relaxing and recharging and whatever? And you can discuss that with your personal spiritual mentor. But the point is, whatever time is not spent taking care of other obligations, you have to be studying. That's it. There's nothing else to be doing. And that's the obligation of Talmud Torah. Now, a woman doesn't have that same obligation. However, let me point out that a woman is obligated to observe all of the commandments that she is obligated to observe. And in order to observe those commandments, how is she supposed to observe them if she doesn't know what they are and how to actually implement them? So there is a great deal of Torah study that a woman is obligated in, not as a mitzvah of Talmud Torah in its own right, the mitzvah studying Torah just for the sake of studying Torah, but as the way to perform all the other mitzvahs that she's obligated to do. She's going to have to be proficient in day-to-day halacha. Furthermore, a woman is obligated in mitzvahs like loving Hashem and being in awe of Hashem and believing in Hashem and His oneness. And how is she supposed to do that without learning? Remember, we spoke about it several days ago, that the Rambam says, how do you love God? How do you fear God? Is by meditating on Him. Okay, meditate on what? So in order to have what to meditate on, you're going to have to study. And that's primarily found in Pnimiyas HaTorah, in Chassidus. So a woman has an obligation to study enough of that material as is required for her to be able to arouse the proper awareness mentally and emotionally toward Hashem. Furthermore, in today's day and age, where this whole world is so inundated, for better or for worse, with information, we have to stay ahead of the curve. And if a woman isn't studying Torah, then she's going to be beset by all types of other information, which may not be so conducive to the best spiritual life. So because of that, because of the times we live in, we see historically the emphasis on women studying more and being more well-versed in Torah concepts has just become basically ubiquitous. And that's a little bit about the obligation of Torah study as it applies to women. And of course, there are many women, Baruch Hashem, who are part of this daily study of the Sefer HaMitzvahs, whether through this particular shiur or from many, many other shiurim, or those who learn alone. And I will also mention, it's a great opportunity to do so, that there are plenty of women who don't only study Sefer HaMitzvahs, but who study Mishnah Torah, and not just one chapter a day of Mishnah Torah, but there are many women, Baruch Hashem, who study 3 chapters of Mishnah Torah every day. And that is a wonderful thing to do if one is able to do so. We will see you tomorrow.
והוא גואלנו, והוא גואלנו, והוא גואלנו, משיח צדקנו, הרבי מלובביץ' מלך המשיח, הרבי מלובביץ'.
Again with the no playing? I don't know why that's happening. Huh. I will have to figure out later why that is happening. I don't know. It shouldn't be happening. I don't know why. All right. Sorry about that. All right. Well, let's keep this one in then. That's fine. We don't need that one then. Okay. Mashiach. Time to talk about Mashiach. Rivka in her father's house was like a thorn among the roses. That's where it comes from. The Jewish people are compared to a rose among the thorns. Just like a rose garden is planted for fragrance, so too the righteous are created for the redemption of the Jewish people. In her father's house, Rivka was compared to a rose among the thorns, surrounded by wickedness, yet she remained pure. She actually flourished and became the ultimate in spiritual beauty. Galut, exile, is compared to thorns. It's ugly and can be quite painful. Yet when we're in touch with our essence, we are proud of who we are and find beauty and meaning in every experience. Like a rose, we can bring beauty among the thorns. Furthermore, once a rose is fully developed, we cut away the thorns and only the beautiful flower remains. By doing what we can to experience a taste of Mashiach, even while in Golus, we will merit the complete redemption when all evil and hardship will cease to exist. All right. Let's talk a little about Purim. Oh, there we are. I don't know what happened to all my music. All my music seems to have gone away. But we've got it under control. There we go. All right, let us get ready for Purim.
The rabbis say something unbelievable. They say that in the future, there'll come a time, probably at the end of the Messianic era, when the books of Torah will be needed, but all the other books of Tanakh, all the other biblical books will be gone, with one exception, the book of Esther. And you think, what? This will be a time beyond Psalms, Tehillim, and Yeshayahu, and Isaiah. What's going on? And why Esther? Esther's a story of a guy who rose up in the Persian Empire, wanted to annihilate all the Jews. The queen turned out to be Jewish. In the end, we got saved. But it's a book without a miracle. It's a book without a revelation. God's name does not even appear once in the whole story. And that's exactly the point. A history that needs God to come and do the miracles to save it is a history where the sum total of human choices fails. But Megillas Esther reveals something completely different. The deep belief that in the end, the sum total of human choices will succeed. God's revelation will come through our actions. All the difficult times we're going through will look totally different on the other side. But it's your actions and my actions that will actually produce that story that will therefore live through the whole of history and be there at its end. What that means for our little moments in life is beyond imagination. We are writing the greatest story ever told. Let's all hopefully play an amazing part in it.
All right. Bringing heaven down to earth. What is it that brought thinking men and women to abandon the master for the servant? to serve a single star rather than he that sprinkles our galaxies as dust, to play with spiritual forces and energies rather than connect to the source of life, Makor HaChayim, to even today, following the commands of our own ephemeral cravings above the wishes of He who alone is real and true. It's because in the worship of these, we can delude ourselves that we too are something great. All of these are made for our glory. At the very least, we are something that must be reckoned with. We exist, whereas in the presence of the infinite light, there's no room for anything else to exist. This is the inheritance we have from Abraham, our father. The readiness to sacrifice our claim to existence so that we may stand in the presence of the infinite. With that sacrifice, we transcend the very act of being. It is true. We've got a lot to be thankful for. If we only knew it. And instead of following the leader, we choose to follow the servant. Very strange, right? Come talk to me about it on social media. Any of the Actors Rabbis groups at Blue Sky, Clubhouse, Discord, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Telegram, Twitter, WhatsApp, YouTube. You can email me at theactorsrabbi@gmail.com. You can go to theactorsrabbi.com, sign up for our myriad of services that we have there, including our Shabbos.
Helping lots of people.
Hello.
Any way we can. Tzedakah is the Jewish way to help.
We hit the wrong button there. Yes. All right, here we go. Our Shabbos with Elli newsletter goes out every week. It went out yesterday, but if you want a copy, go to breakfastwithelli.live/mail, breakfastwithelli.live/mail, and you can have your own copy to print out before Shabbat and read it so that you can learn some Torah even on Shabbat. I know. All right, let's make an after bracha. Baruch ato Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam boirei nefashos rabois v'chesronan al kol ma sheborasa l'chayos bohem nefesh kol chai baruch chai ha'olamim. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to my Patreon sponsors, Pastor Riddle, Tarzan Orchids, Dina D Design, Bracha Biederman, Reza Musavi, Wendy Cohen, David Wetman, and our two anonymous donors. If you would like to become a donor and help bring Torah all around the world, scan this QR code, taking you to breakfastwithelli.live/support, or to patreon.com/actorsrabbi, or our virtual tip jar, breakfastwithelli.live/tip jar. All right, we're going to start Purim videos. 17 days before Purim, so I thought we would start on some Purim videos. Mishenichnas Adar, we are entering the month of Adar, so I thought that would be a good time to address this issue. All right, keep alive with Purim Up. All right. Erev Shabbos Chodesh. Shabbos starts at 5:10 p.m. in New York City. Will end tomorrow night at 6:12. If you would like to know when Shabbos is in your community, go to breakfastwithelli.live/Shabbos. The Molad, AliyosMevarchim, the Molad for the month, the birth of the new moon, will be on Tuesday, the 17th at 3:50 a.m. with 12 chalakim, and Rosh Chodesh is Tuesday and Wednesday. In addition to Shabbos Mevarchim is Shabbos Shkolim. We are going to read about the half shekel tax that was given by the Jewish people. Hold on one second. Here we go. The half shekel tax that was given by the Jewish people at the times of the Mishkan and the Holy Temple. So please make sure you read that in your Torah portion. All right. Go out and do something good and something nice for someone today. In the words of Rabbi Isaac Hamler, have affection for a fellow, Hashem will have affection for you. Do a kindness for a fellow, Hashem will do a kindness for you. Draw a fellow close, Hashem will draw you close to him. Go out there, make it a great and glorious day. Let me know where you're watching from so I have some idea on who's here and what you all like and need. All right? Keep alive with Purim up, and we will see you, God willing, on Sunday. Have a great and glorious day, and be the reason someone smiles.
So wake me up when Purim's over, when I'm wiser and I'm sober. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost.
I woke up today with this feeling that better things are coming my way. Today we're gonna be celebrating and partying till the end of the day.
When the rainy days are dying, gotta keep on trying. בוא נרים עוד כוס לחיים. אז תפתח את העיניים ותביט אל השמיים, זה הזמן למחוא כפיים.
Get on up, הכל פנן, baby. קח כמה אוזני המן. I know it's not much, but it's okay. Too bad Purim isn't every day. Get on up, הכל פנן, baby. קח כמה אוזני המן. I know it's not much, but it's okay. Too bad Purim isn't every day. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down.
האייפון נפל למים, הפסדתי במחניים, יש לי פרק באוזניים. אז תפתח את העיניים, תדמיין אל השמיים, זה הזמן למחוא כפיים.
Get on up, הכל פנן, דיוויד.
קח כמה אוזני המן.
I know it's not much, but it's okay. Too bad Purim isn't every day. Get on up, הכל פנן, baby. קח כמה אוזני המן. I know it's not much, but it's okay. Too bad Purim isn't every day. I don't want Purim to be over. I'll get over my hangover.
Let the party go on, and when another year's gone, we'll do it all again.
Get on up, הכל פנן, baby. קח כמה אוזני המן. I know it's not much, but it's okay. Too bad Purim isn't every day.